Hey everyone, Model Man Frank here. Good evening. How are y'all? Hope everything is doing great for you. I know it's doing great for me. I've got the microphone hooked up finally, and I'm just waiting to make sure that I can see y'all here. Welcome to Model Man Frank, and welcome to Shop Talk. So it looks like a lot of things have changed in the world. I don't know if anybody saw something really interesting happened, I think, in the past couple of weeks. There was a 737 that dropped down to 500 feet over Tampa Bay and continued on. It was a Southwest Airlines. That was pretty interesting. That was in the news, in aviation news. And Oshkosh happened this weekend. Today is the last day for Oshkosh. Oshkosh is probably, a lot of the pilots are on their way homes, and some of the Warbird pilots are probably leaving. Hopefully they'll have some new video out, and some friends of mine will probably get me some video also, so I can show in the shorts. One thing I wanted to talk about tonight would be Burt Rutan, who used to frequent Oshkosh a lot and used to frequent Lakeland Sun and Fun. But before we get to that, I just wanted you guys to remind you, we have a Patreon page. There I post a lot of good links. I just posted up a post of 13th Squadron. If anybody's ever heard of 13th Squadron. 13th Squadron is a father and son team that they've made some model airplanes plans, and they've made them available for free for download. Go over to my Patreon page and you can see the download to a link to their page, and I'll also put a link in the description box below of my Patreon page. You can follow me. You can sign up for free. Whenever I find something interesting that I think maybe you guys would like to see or hear or read, I post it there. I do not post on Facebook. I do not post on X or anywhere else. So please follow me there, and I would be greatly appreciated. I've reached 5,000 subscribers. To everybody that has subscribed, thank you so very much. It's so very much appreciated. Now I've got to get, this is something that I do for fun. I really appreciate it, and I like talking to y'all and sharing you a little bit of aviation history and some model airplane building here in the shop. And I do apologize, I haven't really put anything out in terms of me building stuff, because I get started on things and I forget in my brain to make a video of it, of me building it. And I don't know if you guys really like watching that. If you do, leave a comment in the description box, in the in the comment field of any of the videos, or my video or this video. Leave a comment down below so I can know what you guys are thinking, and maybe I can add something to to our conversations. So today's conversation, so we're going to talk a little bit about aviation history and some of the aircraft that made our aviation world, like I always do. And then we'll delve into a little bit of some of the things I'm working on here in the shop, and we'll go that route. Okay? So tonight's broadcast is about the Burt Rutan aircraft, which is called Ares 151. And you probably saw the photo that was on here that showed the aircraft. Back in the 1990s, Burt Rutan came up with a concept idea to build a light attack fighter plane. And he was thinking outside the box a little bit. And for a plane that was completely outside the box, this is what he came up with. I'm going to show you some videos that and I'll put the links to the full video in the description box below. So when Burt Rutan, if you see that there is like a little bolt, this plane was completely out of the thinking norm. The Model 151 Ares armed stands for Armed Response Effective Support, and was designed. The design was commenced in 1985. The prototype is the only one available. Is the only one flying. Is November 151 Sierra Charlie. First flew on February 1990 and progressively achieved its design goals and range speeds, powered by a single JT-15 Delta 5 turbofan jet engine. It demonstrated a top speed of 466 miles an hour, and it carries a single cannon. Now, I'm going to show you a really cool video. It's going to talk about some of the design features of this aircraft, and it's, I mean, just looking at the plane, you can really see that it's a plane that stands out. Burt Rutan was a forward thinker. He thought about things in a forward aspect, and it shows in all of his designs. Okay, I mean, from White Knight to Spaceship One, to Long Easy, to the real easy aircraft, all his kit planes, to the Protoss aircraft. I mean, every aircraft. I'll put a link to scaled composites in the description box below. That way you can find all their aircraft. This aircraft is no different. It was forward thinking, ahead of its time, and I just don't think it hit the mark with military prospects. But now that we are coming into a new age of discovery with aviation and with composites and things like that, that's where this aircraft fits in the bill really well. So, without further ado, let me show you a video of him talking about this aircraft in particular. Oh, let me get out of that. We're going to show you, it's a video that's going to talk about what is it that he designed the aircraft and what type of plane it is. Again, remember, the plane is very forward thinking. You're going to see this video. This video is very old. It's kind of grainy. It's from the 1990s. It's not digital. It doesn't show up in HD. But listen to what he talks about, and you'll see a lot of what I'm thinking, what's going on. So, I've seen it. It's really, really cool.
Ares' primary flight controls, consisting of the aileron, the rudder, and the elevator, are all manually actuated without complex boost systems. They are redundant in that the loss of a surface or the control to a surface, either an elevator, an aileron, or a rudder, does not disable the aircraft. Agility requires an effective method for deceleration. Ares uses a...
Sorry, this is actually not the video that I wanted to show you. Let me take this one out, and then I'll show you the other one. Sorry. Let me show you the other one. This is the wrong video. It's cut one. Kind of gives you a briefer description.
The Ares, a unique aircraft designed to combine the capabilities of a large cannon and a lightweight airframe. Engine inlet gun gas ingestion problems were solved by mounting the engine inlet and the gun on opposite sides of the fuselage.
In order to accommodate the inlet in this unusual position on the aircraft, the engine is mounted nose left so that the airflow coming around the fuselage goes straight into the engine inlet. The canard and the wing act as large turning vanes so that the flow remains distortion-free at all angles of attack and at all side slip angles. The thrust from the cannoned off-centerline engine is brought onto the centerline and straightened straight aft by a long all-composite tailpipe. The composite tailpipe also allows the fan flow and the core flow to mix to reduce the infrared signature.
So I wanted to show you that, just that portion, and then I'm going to show you a little bit more of the flying, and then we're going to go into the other video. Very interesting about this aircraft is the way that the engine is designed. Hey Norm, how you doing? Welcome to the show. I saw you pop up there. So the plane is very interesting the way it was designed. So I'm going to bring it back a little bit so you'll actually... So if you saw the way that the engine was designed, it's on the side of the plane, and then it comes in and then wraps around. As the exhaust, the hot exhaust comes through, it comes around that carbon fiber exhaust plume, and it quiets the engine number. It kind of like it dispenses the heat signature of the plane. Also, the canards on both sides of the wing, on both sides of the canard, I'm sorry, not the canards, the horizontal stabilizers on both sides help achieve that. Look at the way that the tail is situated, and you can see that set up there. You have it so any heat signature that dispenses off that motor, the only thing that's going to show up is going to be the plume coming out. Now, it's a great concept idea. It kind of helps cool off that heat signature, but you're still going to have the plume coming out. So I'm sure they would have to do more testing on that. But again, this was forward thinking. For the 1990s, it was pretty forward thinking. And Burt Rutan was famous for things like that. So I'm going to continue on with the video so you can keep watching it, and then we'll go on to the next one.
To mix to reduce the infrared signature.
So you saw that very interesting video about the aircraft. As you can see, the aircraft looking straight at it was really hard to see. I mean, it was a very little slit. It was almost designed, if you think about it, with those forward canards, it probably outturned anything. And it was really used with the forward canards to be out of the way. In the next video, he'll more likely explain a little bit like that. This plane, I thought about it the other day when we were talking about the Curtis, and we were, I was thinking, you know what? There's a plane that I know. I remember it was a Burt Rutan jet powered airplane, and I was thinking BD-5. No, that was somebody else. That was Jim BD, which is also an interesting little bird. Everybody remembers that one. This airplane actually was in a movie. It was in an Iron Eagle 3, which I've never seen. I don't know if anybody else has seen it. But it was an Iron Eagle 3. It made its film debut in that movie, and that was the only time it was ever shown. The plane is not in any museum. Scale Composites, since Burt Rutan's death, took possession of the aircraft, and the plane is now used on a regular basis by Burt Rutan. I'm sorry, by Scale Composites as a demonstrator. Let me pull up that other photo so you can see the differences between the planes. It's really interesting how the cockpit layout is really like seriously forward. I mean, the cockpit layout is the same as any other jet you would see. I mean, you can see there that it has the two glass canopies. Now, this is the plane the way it shows now. What it looked like before, back in the 1990s, I'm sure was different. I never really got to see pictures, especially when it showed up in Popular Mechanics. I never really got to see pictures of what the interior was. But you can tell from this photo, you can see that it's a pretty straightforward layout, just like an F-18 would be. You've got your display, your two glass panels in the front, you've got your nav comms, your engine temperatures, you've got your throttle there off to the left, and you've got your stick, which would probably most likely be in the middle. Actually, it looks like the stick is actually off to the right instead of the middle. I don't see the yoke right there. I'm going to show you the last video that I have. Now again, I'll put a link in the description box so you can watch the video in full. I'm just showing you guys different recordings of the video, and I'm gonna silence my mic every time that this video comes on, so you're able to watch the video and not hear me or hear the background. So if it's a little loud, I do apologize. So here we go.
Ares primary flight controls, consisting of the aileron, the rudder, and the elevator, are all manually actuated without complex boost systems. They are redundant in that the loss of a surface or the control to a surface, either an elevator, an aileron, or a rudder, does not disable the aircraft. Agility requires an effective method for deceleration. Ares uses a simple hydraulic speed brake. Ares has an integrated high lift system and pitch control system. The forward swept canard, which provides the airplane's agility and maneuvering, is mounted behind the pilot, so it's not in his vision path for downward and forward vision. The elevator on the canard is a full span slotted flap, which allows aggressive maneuvering, very high lift, and it provides stall limiting in that the canard stalls at the root, progressing outboard, and it limits the airplane to about 15 degrees angle of attack at full aft stick. At full aft stick, the pilot can aggressively maneuver the airplane laterally without fear of departure.
So as you can see there, the plane is very forward thinking. You saw that bulbous that was sticking out on the side. That's the cannon. Now, the way that he designed the cannon was, his principal thought was that as the cannon would shoot, you'd have the hot gases, and of course, you know, any shrapnel that would be coming out from the cannon, all that shrapnel would be, or that hot gas would actually be ingested by the motor. That's why the motor is actually offset to one side. But the problem is that, and again, when you watch the video, hello EQRC, welcome to the show. Very nice to see you again. As you watch the video, and again, I'll put the link in the description box below so you can see the video in its entirety. I was only able to get some snippets, and I really didn't want to give away the whole film. But if you were watching the video, you could actually see the plane moving left to right. I don't know if that was pitch or yaw, or because it was maybe it was a system online. I noticed that he went into that fact that the plane was direct control, so I don't know if it was hydraulics, but maybe with that motor being offset to one side, maybe there was a little bit of yaw back and forth. I don't know if you guys noticed that. Again, watch the video and come up with your own ideas and maybe your own thought. This would really be a kind of interesting looking airplane to build a model airplane out of, but I just don't know how a fan jet or making an EDF to do that would be. I'm sure one of you guys would figure it out. So his thought process with the cannon was that the side of the fuselage would be concaved, so the cannon would stick out a little bit, but with that concave coming out, now if you look at the F-16 and the F-22 and stuff, everything is kind of like, it's kind of flush surface. Yeah, the A-10 has the cannon sticking out, but the whole plane's built around the cannon. This was kind of the same principle back then. I think if the plane was like redesigned and maybe brought a cannon out later, it would probably be different, but that's what they had. Now, when this plane was introduced, it was supposed to go up kind of like their thought process was for it to replace eventually the Bronco 2, you know, which is the Rockwell Bronco, the OV-1A Bronco. And it was a lighter plane, absolutely. It was, I don't think it, you know what, to me, to tell the truth, it looks pretty clunky. So if you look at the plane below it, it is the OV-1 right below. And then the one that's on the left, on the bottom, that's the Piper Enforcer, or the P-51-2 Mustang. And then the other one is, I think that's a Pocara or a Piaggio. But this plane was built, and it was actually being competed against some other aircraft. But as you can tell, that the weight was supposed to be really low on the plane. Now, hard points would be basically around those sponsons, those tunnels where that's where the landing gear would come out also, like I showed you in the first photo. And let me bring that image up again so you can see what I'm talking about. So if you see at the photo there where the tail boom is, those hard points, that area is where the hard points would be. So it'd be able to carry rockets and things. Now, here's the thing that I have a real big issue with, is with the cannon. Yes, you offset the cannon, but if you put rockets on the bottom, that actually also has hot gases. So Where's your logic there? This was a great technology demonstrator. I'm sure they kind of thought he thought hard into it, but of course, you know, like the big major three or major four at that time period, there was Lockheed Martin, there was General Dynamics, there was Boeing, there was North American wasn't around in the 1990s. It was had already been taken over by Boeing Aircraft. I'm sorry, Rockwell Aviation. And then there was a couple other companies also. Northrop Grumman Aircraft, and then Northrop Hughes Aircraft, and then also, what was the other company? Bell Aircraft. You know, he was kind of stepping into their toes, and they didn't want to have anything to do with him, so they put pressure on him. They just didn't pay attention to him anymore. So he went away, and so did the plane. The plane was no more. He was out of the picture, but the plane wasn't. The thought was still there. So Burt concentrated on other things. Now you got to remember, Burt Rutan, very forward-thinking man, came out with the plane that went around the world, circumnavigated the world on a single tank of gas. Which aircraft was that? That was Voyager. Went all the way around the world with 2 pilots in it. It was a fuel reciprocating motor engine aircraft. It had 2 Lycomings, I believe, or 2 Continentals. But you can see that plane at the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum in Washington. Also, he built one of the largest planes ever built by any American company. It's actually bigger than the C-5 Galaxy, which is now the largest plane in the world because the Antonov is no more. It got bombed during the Ukraine war. But this plane is just humongous. I think this is the Stratolifter, it's called. And 6 engines, and basically you can carry your payloads in the middle. That plane there, right there, was designed by Burt Rutan. And Scaled Composite Aviation put that aircraft together. That thing is big. You can tell by the size of the people that are actually walking around it, and the size of the hangar, and the vehicles that are parked inside. So, I think it's called a Stratolifter. It is not a military aircraft. It's actually meant to carry things within that strut in the middle. That center wing is supposed to be able to be the lifting portion of the aircraft, so they can carry things like space planes and maybe a bigger version of Spaceship One. Who knows? But there's other aircraft that they have being built. This is just one of them. And that was what we have for tonight. So, make myself a little bigger here so you can see what's going on. As you can see, I hung up the A10. It used to be over my left shoulder here. I think it looks better because it looks like it's flying. What do you guys think? I think it looks pretty cool. And then I've got some other stuff that I'm working on. I'm going to show you guys some stuff. Now, if you go to my Patreon page, I put a link in the description box below for the next thing that I'm looking on. I really like building airplanes. I start building something, and then something on my fancy kind of like clicks in. Now, I still have, right there you see the puss moth, and I'm putting in the struts right now, and that's still being worked on. So that's still being worked on. Oh yeah, that plane was a big one. And I'm also, if you, right here is, if you watched one of the videos before, my short of the T7, which is the the new trainer. It's the what's it called, the Red Hawk or Red Fin or something like that. Banana Hobbies has it, and the plane is really a squirrely plane to fly. Also in the background, you can see next to that one, you can see the Storch. I'm waiting for a friend of mine to get back from his vacation, visiting his family up north, and I'm going to need his help to situate how to do the safe mode on that aircraft and how to put it all together. And then I really do want to get to flying my right here, get to flying my air coupe, which eventually it will get into the air. But one of the ones that I wanted to show you is that I found this company through I think it was Flight Test Forums website. Somebody actually talked about it, because what happened was I was looking for somebody that had a Japanese Zero foam board. Flight Test, they do a lot of good in the modeling world by putting on Flight Fest. I know the principle behind their whole show, behind the videos and and their hobby shop and everything like that. They've done really good with what they've brought kids back to the hobby and kind of showed them, hey, you can build model airplanes, and taking that next step. And all the power to them. God bless them and everything like that. Bringing everybody back to the hobby itself and getting back into model building. So, as we all know, we all thought the model building was going to go away with video games and things like that, but there's still people that like to build stuff. And myself included, I like building things. I like really putting things together. So I found this place that's called 13th Squadron, and it's a father and son team. This is a Hellcat. That's a foam board Hellcat. They've got plans that you can download. Somebody sent me the link on Flight Test Forum. I went to their website. Excuse me. And I downloaded their the link for this aircraft in particular. And you can see that the plane, there is no instructions on how to build a plane. So you kind of have to figure it out yourself. There's some photos. He's got some great photos. But I'm building the first one. My plan is to build this one and then build another one. I'm going to build this one up and put it in a dark blue scheme like the Marine versions going into Guadalcanal. Not Guadalcanal, Paolo. And then I'm going to build another one with the three-tone colors, which was blue, medium blue, and then white on the bottom. So I think it would be kind of cool to do that. Again, you have to do a lot of thinking outside the box, kind of figure out how to do it. I kind of messed this part up here when I was folding this over. Got to heat up the foam as you're doing it. This is Dollar Tree foam, not Dollar Tree, Dollar General, because that's what's very popular in this area. So this is Dollar General foam. It's pretty good. It's pretty cheap. Each foam board piece is like $1.50 each. So you can buy a lot of it, which I try and do. Like I said, I like building airplanes, and this really is my first real attempt at building a full-scale. I always wanted to build a Hellcat, and for some reason I could just never get the right kit to build a Hellcat. So this kind of looked really cool to build. What I did is I made the templates. I cut them out. So you get the plans in a PDF file. You download it to your computer or to a chip, and then you print them out. Now, Flight Test Forum has the same printout readings, and you can print them out on 8x11 paper or cardstock or whatever, and put it on your printer and print out the paper. And then what I did is I would cut out the pieces of paper and then attach it to manila folder cardstock. If you go to sometimes our parents, to the kids out there that are doing this, or yourselves, If you got any manila folders that somebody's throwing out, tell them, hey, I'll take those. What I did is I grabbed a bunch of manila folders from a job site that somebody had thrown all out. And as a matter of fact, at my old job where I worked as at a machine shop as a machinist, we were throwing out cardstock, which is the manila folder stuff. And what I use is I use Mod Podge, which is the glue, the paintable glue that you can do. That's how I put the foam, the paper. And you can just glue it to the cardstock and then cut it out. And this is the front nose to the aircraft. These are fairings for the back half. So that way you're able to save and make extra parts, and you can make extra planes. So you can make more than one type of Hellcat. So the other one is I like Warbirds, and let's face facts. To go on Horizon Hobbies and spend $400 to buy a model airplane is kind of ridiculous, especially in this day and age with inflation the way it is, and we just not having enough money. We just spent $500 on buying your your transmitter. Then you have to spend a little bit more money. I like going with the Motion RC. I like Motion RC controllers. I don't know receivers. I don't know how y'all think about it. The Gen 2 receiver is pretty good. I haven't had very many problems with it. The Spitfire, it's kind of iffy. Sometimes I'll have a little bit of a query with it, but really had nothing really a big problem with it yet. But could change. As a matter of fact, the one above me right here, that one has an orange receiver from Hobby King, I think it is. And it works pretty well for me. I mean, it runs well. The other one is I rebuilt my Japanese Zero, the balsa wood model. I incorporated a little bit of foam board into the nose, and this video of this aircraft crashing didn't really show up too well. It's kind of like a little dot in the video. But you see the aftermath where the fuselage separated from the wing, and this pops off. I had to put a ton of weight in the nose. So yeah, the nose has a new firewall. It's actually the original firewall. I just rebuilt it. Also, it's got a new motor in it, new pitch prop. I got a 10, I think it's a 10.4 on this. Yeah, 10.4.5 prop. It's the original cowling. The only difference is this part of the cowling is original. This part of the cowling is not. It's got foam board underneath because I couldn't find some of the wooden pieces. I can't remember what I did with them. So I figured I'd incorporate some wood. Now, turning it upside down, because that's the way you're supposed to check CG on planes like this. The CG on this plane, let me take the canopy off anyways. The CG is kind of like right here where the wing root is. And if I kind of balance it out, it's a little tail heavy, as you can see. But once I put the wing in, it kind of evens itself out a little bit better. And I'm looking forward to flying it again. I still have to recover the tail on the plane. I have a Futaba servo for the one servo. That's the servo back here. And then it's got a sport transmitter in it, DSMX. And it's got the original. This is the wing. This is the wing before it got, smashed up. It never got smashed up. It actually, when the plane crashed, it crashed like this. So this whole area crushed in. Yeah. Now the Admiral 600, like EQRC says, it's a pretty expensive radio though, right? Isn't it? I'm not too sure about, I've never seen, I bought a Spectrum. I bought the Spectrum 8 because it offered more switches and gyros and things like that, and I could put in landing gears and stuff like that, but it allows you to do updates on it. I have my DX6E that I bought 4 years ago. I still have it sitting there, so if I ever need to use it, I can. If I run out of room. I mean, right now I've got 17 planes that that I'm flying. Can only have so many, and some airplanes I've been putting them up for sale. Like my Habu, I actually took the receiver out and I put it up for sale up at my clubhouse for $50. If anybody wants to buy it, they can get into flying jets. They just have to buy a receiver for it. So this is the Japanese Zero as we see right now, and we'll see how that goes. That's one plane. Also up here I have the BF-109. I don't think you can see it really well. Let me see if I can tilt the camera up a little bit. There you go. You can see the wing of the aircraft. It's actually right above me right here. And if you're seeing this, that plane doesn't fly anymore. That's a Crusader. Somebody was giving it away at the model airplane field, and I decided it looked cool as a model, so I just brought it here and hung it up. And if you look over here, you can see the tail for the Spitfire, which still flies. So those are some of the things that are going on here in the shop. Sorry, not the clubhouse. Also, I went to the bookstore. Thrift shops are the best places to find books. If you follow me on Patreon, especially to the two, I really would like it if EQRC, you don't have to buy anything. You can join up for free and you can follow me there and we can talk about all the cool stuff that's coming out. Also, Norm, would love to see you guys on Patreon. Again, I'll put a link in the description box below. It's free to join up. You don't have to pay. It's so we can conversate and talk about some of the cool stuff, and we can, I can share some of the things that I see out there and some of the articles that I find. I'll put a link in the description box below so you guys can follow the link over there and find me there. Model Man Frank on Patreon. Again, it's free to join. So I got a new book, and $4. And I'm sure some of you would probably remember the front end. It was a book written by Derek Wood, Jane's World Aircraft Recognition Handbook. Can't see the wording anymore, but you can see the plane. And everybody should know what that plane is right there. So I shouldn't have to say it. And you should know what that plane is also. We even talked about this aircraft a couple weeks ago. You got the... okay. So, but... yeah, that's one book that I got. It's got, some illustrations, pretty nice illustrations in it. $4. $4 at a used bookshop. Go to the used bookshop, guys. Don't go to Amazon too much. Sometimes you can find a good deal on Amazon for some books. Now, if you look at my Patreon page, you'll see that on my Patreon, I kind of posted a picture of this book and an extraterrestrial book. Yes, I believe in UFOs. I'm there. But what pilot doesn't? I'm sure a lot of pilots out there have seen UFOs. Unidentified flying object. Doesn't mean that it's a little green man. It's more than little green men. There's a lot of stuff flying out there. We just don't know what it is. That's the way I look at it. So, getting back to this. So, Oshkosh is going on. I'm really interested to see what plane showed up. At Oshkosh, everybody brings a new plane that they've just finished restoring. I did see a video on Twitter. I'm going to see if I can find it again. And I'll show it next week. Of a guy that built a half-size version of a P-38. I think he used Rotax motors or Corvette motors. I'm not sure. But I'm going to see if I can find the article about it. And we'll talk about it next week. But yeah, this is where this channel is starting to evolve into, and talk about a little bit about history, and talk about some of the stuff that I'm working on here in the shop, because I know you guys love to listen to me about that stuff. Receiver, just read some of your comments here. EQRC, I need a 10 channel now, and one more 300 kV motor. You can get, I'm surprised, on Amazon, I'm sorry, but Horizon Hobbies has gotten pretty expensive. Has anybody noticed that? Their RC motors are like, I know they're supposed to be good, but you don't need to charge so much. If you go to Amazon, you can buy some RC motors, like 300 kV motors. You can get a 300 kV motor. What are you gonna power with a 300 kV motor? That's one thing I really 500 kV motor I can see. I've got a 500 kV motor that I bought. I bought this one on Amazon, and this is actually a 900 kV motor. You can see it's pretty big. It's a honker. Hi, Trevor. How you doing? Are you up there at Oshkosh this year? Because I saw the pictures that you sent of through my email of you guys. I think you were there in 2012. That would have been pretty interesting, a B-52 landing there. Horizon Hobbies and has no stock. Yeah, you're right. They have no stock. I don't know where Horizon Hobbies. I mean, yeah, they're supposed to be the biggest, the baddest, but at least Spectrum brand is doing very well. Customer service wise, they're very on par. They're pretty much going back into doing the updates on the DSS on the NX set of radios. They're pretty good at that. If you saw one of my videos, I had a problem with my NX. I turned it on, it started going through its flashing, and I just sat there trying to figure it out. I posted it on my club website, and then my wife, who I love you, my dear, she was the one that found what I needed to do, and she's the greatest thing in the world to me, and I so much appreciate it. Guys, pay attention to your wives. Sometimes they know what they're talking about. She found that I needed to go online and update the software, so that's what I did the minute I got home. I put in the little scan card into the computer, downloaded the software, and lo and behold, it rebooted and brought up the software. Everything's working now perfectly fine. So, next week we're going to talk. I'll bring out another aircraft that we can talk about. If you guys have any suggestions and you want to hear something different, I bring out like the F-22 and F-35. Everybody's talking about that stuff. I really don't want to talk too much. Oh, you're making a B-17. Wow, 125 wingspan. I can't wait to see the video. Are you going to make a video of it? If you do, I'll definitely, I really do want to see that. I'm trying to find who makes, a little bit off subject here, who makes fatty planes. I know Julius over there in Indonesia makes a couple, but I'm trying to find who else has plans out there of the little fatty, like, fighter planes, and how we can make some planes. I think it would be kind of cool to build one. So next week we're going to talk history-wise. We'll talk about something. I'll bring. Maybe we'll talk. You know what? We'll talk about the Ryan Fireball or something Ryan aircraft related. A lot of people know about that one. And we'll talk about the same stuff. But you know. Also, I want to get your guys' opinion on. Sorry, guys. I'm going off subject here because I'm reading the comments. It's really cool that you guys are able to join in. I really appreciate you guys joining in on the conversation. It's so great to talk to you all. If you're watching this on playback, please leave a thumbs up button. Hit the thumbs up button. Hit the bell icon. You'll be alerted when a video is posted. Also, follow me on Patreon. Really important. Follow me on Patreon. That's where you'll get conversation directly with me, and we can talk about model airplanes. Sometimes I post some stuff today in aviation. Sometimes I like to talk about aviation history with you guys. It's a lot of fun, especially in the subjects that we deal with on a daily basis, especially if we're building something. As a matter of fact, we're not going to talk about the Ryan. We're going to talk about the T-34 next week. T-34, you've seen any of my videos. I've done a lot of videos on T-34s. T-34 has a very interesting history and very... plane doesn't fly anymore. Not a lot of people have talked about it. It was a trainer that was used during the war, during the Korean time period, from the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and was used up until the 90s until they were retired, and other countries picked them up and started using the aircraft. So we're going to talk about the T-34 and the many different variations of the T-34 that actually came out. I've got some schematics of different T-34s that were built. I know some pilots that actually have T-34s. And I'd like to talk to you guys about them and show you. And kind of give you kind of little ins and outs about the T-34, things you may not know about. Especially things that I remember from when I worked as a ramp agent at... KSEF. If you guys know which airport code that is, you'll know exactly where you'll know which airport I used to work at. But been building it for a month, all on the channel. That's great. I'm gonna actually EQRC. I am gonna go to your channel and take a look at your B-17. I really would like to take a look at it. I haven't seen anybody build a B-29. It'd be neat to build a B-29 out of foam board. One of those thoughts I've actually thought about. But next week, 7:30 p.m., 4:30 p.m. Pacific. I hope to see you guys all here. Great conversation. We'll talk more about RC planes, everything going on in the shop, and everything aviation history-wise. And I look forward to talking to you guys next week. Again, follow me on Patreon. Also hit the bell icon to be alerted when I go live. And we will talk next week. It was nice to hear from you, Trevor, EQRC, Norm. Thank you very much for joining tonight's broadcast. And I will talk to you guys next week. All right? Guys, have a good weekend. Have a good rest of your weekend. I don't know if this is the beginning of your weekend. Or have a good... Make sure you get out there and fly your planes and enjoy yourselves. And we will talk on the next one. Model Man Frank out, guys. Talk to you guys all later. Remember, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. Have a good one. Bye-bye.